Founded in 1954, the University of San Diego's School of Law has produced thousands of the most brilliant minds and most accomplished people in the legal profession. It's been a combination of the highest quality curriculum, faculty, and students' ambition to succeed. While there have been many notable alumni, perhaps none are quite as unique as 1981 graduate James E. McPherson. Sit back for a moment and listen to his long list of accomplishments. 3 years of United States Army service as a military policeman, then left the Army and attended San Diego State as an undergrad, attended USD School of Law for his JD, then a Master of Laws degree, military, from the University of Virginia. In 1979, while also in school, he commissioned as a Navy ensign, where he worked his way up through the justice ranks. In 2004, as a Rear Admiral, Jim became only the 39th Judge Advocate General of the United States Navy, a position held until 2006. Jim retired from the Navy in the fall of 2006. He then went to work as the General Counsel of the Department of Defense Counterintelligence Field Activity. He left after 2 years to take the position of Executive Director of the National Association of Attorneys General. 9 years later, in 2017, public service came calling again.
And I was deep in contemplative thought one afternoon on a Friday when an email popped on my machine. It said from the White House Liaison Office at DOD, and I didn't even know there was such an office, but it was one sentence. It said, "Would you have time next week to meet with Secretary Mattis?" With the time was the Secretary of Defense. I immediately thought that my friends were spoofing me, and I did my due diligence and found out, no, this is legitimate. So I responded, yeah, I think I could find time next week and meet with Secretary Mattis. And made an appointment, went over at the appointed hour. I really had no idea what it is I was getting myself into or what he wanted to talk about. And at the conclusion of the interview, he held my hand one beat too long as we shook hands in parting. And he said to me, "Jim, I really want you on my team." Well, how do you say no to something like that? I had to go home and check with my lovely wife, Jennifer, and tell her that we were going back to the Pentagon. And of course, her response was, "Really, back to the Pentagon?" I said, "Yeah, back to the Pentagon." I felt like the old war horse that had been put out to pasture. And one afternoon, heard the bugle call and stepped back into the harness.
Jim held that position until March 2020 and wasn't quite yet done.
Well, my first impression of Jim McPherson was very positive. Of course, I had a chance to read his resume before our first meeting. And when I had seen that he had served in the Army, he had served in the Navy, he had become a Rear Admiral, all the achievements he had made in the legal sphere, I knew that I was very fortunate to have a top tier, first class person.
The reason I chose a career in public service is I wasn't really sure what I was getting into when I first did that and went into the Navy on active duty, but I recognized very soon that as I would go home at the end of the day, I could reflect upon what I did that day, and I knew that I had made a difference. I had made a difference in the life of a sailor at the time, or at the end, the life of a soldier or their family. I had made a difference in a decision that one of my bosses was making because of advice I had given them in an important national security matter. I really had that professional satisfaction by knowing at the end of the day, things I did that day made a difference.
Jim was the type of counsel who just didn't automatically say no. He knew that when I was trying to move the institution forward or advance a particular policy or make a decision on an action, he understood my intent and tried to help me find a way to come to yes.
Jim was eventually appointed as Secretary of the Navy, and believe it or not, actually served as Undersecretary of the Army at the same time for a 2-month period in 2020. He attributes much of his success to the foundation built while at USD.
As I reflect back upon my time at USD Law and the faculty and staff, it occurred to me that they were different from other faculty and staff you hear about at law schools. They care about their students. They want to see their students succeed. They'll take time with their students in ensuring that they prepare them well for their career in the law. This is a tremendous honor. And as I think about becoming a distinguished alumni, I realize that this award isn't for me. This award is for the people that I worked for, my mentors that helped me along the way, for my colleagues that lifted me up when I had a bad day, and for those people, most of all, who worked for me throughout my career. Those people who dedicated themselves to serving others. They're the ones that have this honor, not me.
Congratulations, Admiral James E. McPherson, on being named a University of San Diego School of Law Distinguished Alumni Honoree for 2022.